Still Friendship, episode 76. A legend in the business, adult film actor, director, AVN Hall of Fame member.
Yeah, right.
The one and only Tommy Gunn. Appreciate you coming in, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So, I gotta know, so how did you get into the business?
What a story. Well, it's funny because Marcus and I have a similar background in that he did the dancing, right?
Shout out to Marcus Deegan.
Yeah,
He
Marcus
connected
Deegan.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. Good gentleman, wonderful fellow there. So he and I share that similarity. I did that whole Magic Mike Chippendale stuff years ago. I started about when I was 24.
So where did your career start?
Started Jersey.
Oh,
I was
okay.
born and raised in Jersey.
Nice.
Born and raised in Jersey. I grew up, fixing motorcycles, doing BMX and soccer and all these crazy things. I had a great household and mom and dad and everything. And I was a very small kid for whatever reason. I don't know. My mom was 4'11". My dad was 6'2", so I didn't get much of the height. My mother was half Chinese, actually. Half Asian,
Really?
half
Okay.
Chinese, right. And that's what I was mentioning earlier about the genetics. So I think it's... Anyway, so I grew up and, later in my life, I noticed that, girls, I like girls, and they seem to like guys that worked out. So I said, let me start working out, right? So I started to do that. And like I said, I did motorcycles and, I feel like I've done every blue-collar job under the sun that someone can do up until a certain thing. I worked at a junkyard. I was an electrician. I worked at a machine shop. I did motorcycle repair. I did all these things. And then eventually I knew a guy who was a promoter, and he was doing these hot body contests at these nightclubs in Jersey. And he said, you should do it. And I said, well, I don't know about that. I don't have the courage in front of girls and dancing, you know what I mean? So eventually I just said, you know what? I'm going to throw myself to the wolves. And I got out there and did this little routine. And anyway, that's how I got it. I met a gentleman I was there also in the contest, and he said, hey, man, you got a good look. You should dance. And I said, well, he goes, I do this circuit around the Jersey tri-state area, North Jersey,
Okay.
New York, Delaware. It was a popular thing.
What year was this around?
This was probably 91, 89, 91.
Nice.
89, 90, 91. Yeah, that I started. So I was like, man, this is great. I did this contest. I ended up losing, but, it got me to meet that guy. And then he eventually said, yo, you should dance. And he plugged me into that circuit. And next thing you know, I'm traveling and going up to these nightclubs where they have a ladies' night. And then they got 5 or 6 guys dancing. They called them whatever they called them, Hollywood's hottest hunks, or, there's all these different offshoots. Because Chippendales is what started it. Or I should say the Thunder, they're kind of around the same time, right? Thunder, Chippendales, and then... So that's how I got into it. And then I said, screw it. I'm going to quit all these other jobs, killing myself, and start just doing the dancing thing. So I did that for about 10, 12 years. And then as far as how I got into the adult industry.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you get into porn?
Yeah, right. How I got into porn. I started, well.
Was it ever on your radar as a kid? I mean, growing up, coming through high school, was it anything you were, because we all think about fantasizing about it kind of thing.
I guess my introduction to porn was, we as kids living in our neighborhood, one kid would call and say, hey man, I found this box of these magazines or something, And my introduction was my father's bottom dresser drawer. I pulled it out, and there was these Playboy magazines and naked girly pictures, and I'm like, trying to sneak a peek at them and stuff, and I quick shut the drawer and be like, oh my God, I like that stuff.
Mental pictures?
I mean? Yeah, sure. And then, in the neighborhood, a couple kids would be like, I found this movie, or I got this thing, or I got this whatever. And so that's about all we done. We'd stick it in the VCR and play it, and it was all, and we'd watch it, and that was really about it. But I knew I like pretty girls, right? So, I've always had a...
At what age did you find that, you think?
Teenager? I'm 13, 14, 15.
Because that doesn't exist anymore. I think I was born in '96. I think we're the last generation of kids like that. Because we were finding like DVDs maybe.
Right. All digital stuff.
Yeah, DVD, and then we had portable DVD player.
Right.
So we would take turns in the room, handing the DVD player off, kind of thing.
Wow.
But that doesn't exist anymore. Kids got their phones or the computer or an iPad and straight to the website, right?
Right.
That's kind of funny. That doesn't exist.
Right.
So you loved girls at that time, and then
I was like, oh my God, I know I love these girls and whatever. So, and then I realized as a young kid growing up too, I was very underdeveloped, so to speak, And I thought, man, I'd start working out, get the girls' attention. So it worked out. I started to work out. I got into that world, dancing, and I've been dancing and in the adult industry. I refer to that as an adult industry still too, even though it's not. What I'm doing present day. What I do present day is, we perform a sexual act on camera as a product, and it goes somewhere, and it's bought and it's viewed and it's whatever. And years ago we made the big movies, but when we danced, it was still the adult entertainment. Deemed adult entertainment. So I've been doing adult entertainment for 30 years now.
Wow,
probably 32 years.
Over half your life.
Yeah. So. I often wonder, now where I'm at in my life now, I think to myself, could I do anything 9 to 5-ish ever again? We've had this conversation before. I think Marcus and I, and even my friend recently, I'm trying to recall, had so many conversations lately. I'm trying to see who I was talking to. Yeah, I said, I don't think I could ever do a 9 to 5 job. I'd call my friend, hey, I'm on the roof. I'm doing it. And they're like, get off the roof. You can, don't do it yet. Come back now and we figure out something else. Because I don't think I could do it.
No, you're everybody's favorite stepfather, right?
Yeah.
Right.
At this point, this whole stepfather thing is right. It's pretty crazy, but luckily that's been happening because that's kind of like been a not a newfound thing because I think porn in some capacity is based on older guy, younger girl anyway. Naturally. In some.
What was your first project? Like, how did you first get approached for it?
Well, here's how it went. I was living in Jersey, dancing. I ended up getting hurt. I got hurt. I used to bodybuild and got real big, giant, muscular legs and everything. And long story short, an injury basically set me back. I was married at the time, and I was dancing, and this injury kind of took me out of the scene for about a year. And then when I finally bounced back and got up on my feet again, so to speak, I said, screw this. I hate Jersey. I don't like the snow. I don't like whatever. I've been here 29 years. There's a whole world out there. Go see something else, And my friend that I knew, he and I became friends. He was a young guy. I kind of introduced him to the world of the dancing. It's funny, I took him right out of college and he quit and everything. He started dancing. I was like, oh no, I'd feel bad.
Was the money good though at the time?
Yeah, it was good. And he'll still to this day, he will say, thank God you got me out of that world because I would have never imagined being in forensics. He wanted to do like forensic crime scene investigation or something. And I said, well, that could be awesome, but think about what you're doing, right? You're looking at dead people or things or stuff of that nature. Maybe could probably be daunting or something. But so he got out of that and got into cosmetology and cuts hair, and now he's a great hair stylist and whatnot. Anyway, so he ended up moving to Florida, and then a year later, after I got injured, I kind of followed suit. He's like, you should come down here. And I told my wife, I said, screw this, I'm done. I'm healed up. Let's go to Florida. It's much nicer all year round. Why be here in Jersey when it's cold and bullshit, right? So.
What part of Florida did you guys move down to?
We went to Sunrise, Tamarack. Okay. So it's the same. So anyway, now I'm there, and we're in the dancing world. I got back on my feet. I had a leg injury, double quadricep tendon rupture, if you can imagine what that sounds like.
How long were you?
It's like a bicep tear.
Yeah. You can't walk.
But it was both legs at the same time on a trampoline, and I was 29 at the time.
Just snapped. Oof.
Ripped off.
What does that sound like?
It sounds like a branch breaking. Literally audible in a close proximity.
Oof.
Yeah, so I went to Florida. So now I'm in Florida, healed up, and dancing and, tragically got into the scene of, partying and whatnot and stuff, and because it's all there. And to condense the story, my wife and I, for lack of better words, weren't. It was getting tough, and she decided, I don't want to be around this world or this lifestyle. This is what I'm assuming is something of that nature. So she split, we divorced, and I remained in Florida. And I kind of went on this self-destruction thing, as one would do. Is it's understandable, right? You just lost somebody you've been with for 4 years. You've been married. You've shared. You've been at their house for Christmas and all these things and love and all that stuff. And she decided to go and do her different direction, and I remained in Florida. You can keep the dog. You can keep the house. You can keep the stuff. It sounds great, but there was still, I had to pay for all these things. Right? Mm-hmm. So, she split and went her way and did her thing. So I remained in Florida. And while I was there, I went on this long, dark period of drug use and whatnot and stuff. And so I eventually got past that, and I danced at a club where that one side was for guys dancing for girls, and the other side was girls dancing for guys. So at the end of the night, we would kind of go over to the girl side and fraternize with the girl dancers, right? And, so I met this one, and we played around and hung out and we got intimate and fooled around. And I remember her vividly laying in bed, smoking, going, "Man, wow, that was unbelievable." And I'm like, "Well, thanks." She's like, "You should consider making movies." And I thought, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Porn." And I said, "Wow, that's a lot. That's a big. I don't think I could do it." She's like, "No, you should. You're built for it." I said, "Well, thank the, And she said, "I've been out to California a couple times and made a couple movies. And if you ever want to kind of take a ride with me, take a trip with me. I'll fly you out and take you to California. You can see what it's firsthand, see what it's like."
Wow.
I'll rent a car. I drive the car, carry your bags. So we did. 2 weeks later, jumped in a plane, went to California, landed there, and met in a 10-day. We had a little 10-day little trip there. And she would see producers and directors and stuff, and I would kind of sit in the back off to the side. And then they would ask her, "What do you do?" And she's like, "Well, I do boy-girl, I do boy-boy-girl, I do this, I do that, I don't do this, I don't do that." And then after that, they'd go, "Okay, who's that?" And she'd go, "That's Tommy Gunn. He should do it," and this and that and all these things. And I'm over in the corner like, "Oh," I said, "I'm just here to kind of see the lay of the land." And the guy says, "Well, you got a good look, and you would be assuming if you could do it, because not everybody can do it, because a lot of guys like the thought of it. You get to have sex with pretty girls, and then they pay you for it, right?"
Right.
Sounds great.
I hear there's some strict requirements for the position.
I mean, sure, you got to be able to do the job at the end of the day, and not everyone can. And even with assistance, you could take a pill, you could do a couple things that they're like sports enhanced, performance
supplements, right?
Well, you got them in. Look, humans have a hack for everything,
right?
So it's not like it's some looked down upon.
Oh no, it's no taboo, right?
Yeah, but some people thought, "Oh yeah, you can't. You're not a real man if you can't fuck in front of 30 people with a camera and a boom and all this stuff and stop and start and stop and start and stop and start for 4 hours." Oh, think about that.
No, that sounds tough.
That's like what any guy can have sex in a couch with his girl at the home, and and there's nobody watching, or there's no time limit, right?
Right. So when she's
and even then, there's stress. Some guys are give themselves their own anxiety because they want to perform well, right? Mm-hmm. So many guys have performance anxiety even at home. So now you add all those other things, let's not kid each other. Anyway, so humans create ways to get around certain things, and then, so long story short, the guy, I met a producer on our last day. I met a gentleman who was a director for Wicked Pictures. Wicked was a big company who made big movies, story driven, location, set, wardrobe, period pieces, themed, pirate movie, or like a Western or a old gangster or gangster-esque style-esque thing, storyline and whatever. And then in that story, you had certain sex scenes, and certain actresses, and teamed up with certain guys, paired up, and so when I met this guy Brad, he took us out to dinner. Me and the girl were in California. She gets up, excuses herself, and goes off to the powder room and has And I say to him, I said, "Hey man, so this girl, she got me all like, what tells me I should do this business?" And I said, "You're a good, authority on the business. You're a big director, and one of the biggest directors in the industry." And I said, "So what's a guy like me have to do to get into business?" And he says, "Well, it's tough because of all those things." He says, "But generally what happens is you come in with a pretty girl. That's your best way in. Because the girl says, a new girl is awesome, right? New talent is always looked for, right? Who's the next big star, right? So you get a girl who's brand new, and she's beautiful or whatever, and she's sought after by the producer and the director and all these companies, and they say, 'Hey, we would like to do a test shoot,' and then she says, 'I'll do it, but only with him,' and that's your shoe in as a guy, right? If you can if you can line yourself up in that way for a girl to say, 'I'll do it with him,' test shoot, that's your chance to perform and hopefully swing the bat and hit, at least get it around the bases, right? Get a base hit. You don't have to hit a home run.
Yeah, but, put it in play somehow.
Yeah. Show that you could do it. And, so that's not what happened in this case. She came back. He gave me his business card, and she and I ended up going back to Florida. And I kept this guy's business card, and I got back into. At the time, I was working on motorcycles because I have that background. I figured, let me dance on the weekends. I'll work on motorcycles and do stuff. And so I got back to Florida, and she kind of went her way. I kind of went mine. And I wasn't sold yet on this idea, but I got this card, it's kind of like Steven Spielberg gave you a card to become an actor one day. If you can always, hold on to that, right? So I did. I held on to it, and every couple months, I'd get frustrated and think, fuck, not doing anything exciting. I got this guy's card. Let me pull it out and look at and call him. And so I'd call him, and, "Hey, man, what's up? Oh, it's Tommy Gunn. Yeah, I'm in Florida." He says, "So, this is the conversation we would have. So have you given it any thought?" I said, "Yeah, I think about it every day. I'm just nervous as hell,
Yeah.
Because that's a big step. It's a big, you can't go backwards, right? You do that once, that's it. So I would say, "Hey, I just wanted to call and say hi." And he's like, "Say hi to Brett, say hi to Jenna Jameson." I'm like, because they're all, he was working on, I'm on set now making a movie, say hi to this one or that one. And I said, "Hey, whatever." So I would hang up and go, "Shit." So eventually, through time, 4 years it took me of back and forth and now, figured it out. Plus there was a little thing in the back of my mind that, maybe my wife would come back or me, but she would never if she found out I did that. So I always kind of just decided not to. And then eventually 4 years later, I thought, screw it. I'm not getting any younger. By then I was 36, almost 40 years old. And I
phenomenal
said,
shape.
Yeah, I always treated myself as an athlete. I always, unfortunately, around that time, I was heavily into the drug scene, and it got so bad that, I fled Florida, not for any legal reasons, and I just thought there's so much cocaine and Molly and all this shit going on that if I go back to Florida, if I go back to Philadelphia, two of my friends bought this nightclub, and they said, "Hey, come back." I said, "That's a way. I'll get away from the drugs. I'll go back there." But then I went back there and realized it didn't take long to smell it out, sniff out the drugs again, and boom. So I stayed there for about a year and a half, and then I ended up going back to Florida. All in this 4-year period of when I got the business card of that guy, the director, until when I made the jump to it. I went back to Florida and worked again with the motorcycle guy, and I said, "Hey, I'm trying this yet. I'm not, what's the point? I'm not getting any younger, right?" So I pulled out the card for the last time and said, "Hey man, I'm doing it. I'm ready to do it." And he says, "Okay." By now, like I said, this was 2004. 4 years had went by, and he said, "Your best bet is to come out to Vegas, where the entire industry has their convention and their big award ceremony. So the whole business will be there, and that's where I'll take you and I'll introduce you to everybody." So I had this introduction that was priceless. Nobody could, who has that?
Wow.
Who has that intro to the business?
Right.
Who literally has that type of, like I said, you meet a Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, Spielberg taking it to the Oscars, basically.
Yeah, and you're going to meet everybody and be an actor one day.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. So I told my boss, "Hey, I'm going out to California." And he knew who I was. He knew that I had this card, and he goes, "You really going to check this out?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not getting any younger, man." And what's funny was, around that time, I had been celibate for about a year and a half.
Wow. So, I mean, did you know at that point that you could still get it up and be hard for hours on end
No,
like that?
I had no idea.
Wow.
I was just going off the fact that this guy said, "Come out to Vegas. I'll introduce you to everybody." And then in his defense, he had no capacity that I even could could perform at all.
Dude, that's insane.
And he's like, "I sure hope that, So I went out to California, I went out to Vegas, met with him again after 4 years. By then I had long hair. I cut it off and cleaned myself up, so to speak. And I met him, I met him outside of the Sands Convention Center. Convention Center over at the Venetian. I think they neighbor each other. There's these convention halls that are like monumentally huge, like football field inside, right? So the whole entire industry had set up their booths and stuff, and they were all in this building. And I remember meeting him and going through these doors and just seeing this grandeur of, like, oh my God, there's Wicked and Vivid and Hustler and Adam and Eve and Digital Playground and Penthouse and all these other companies, huge booths with these flowing curtains and neons, everything, and then people just everywhere, and then lines of guys, which looked like hours long wait to meet Jenna Jameson and Tara Patrick and Janine Lindemulder and Julia Ann and Lisa Ann and all the big stars, all the big heavy hitters. Because back then, social media wasn't out yet, so they were still very untouchable.
Right.
And if you wanted to see these girls, you got to go there to see them.
Right. There's no other way to find them.
There's no
other way to see
them
them
in the movie.
That's it.
Or you go to the convention in Vegas, and then. So he brought me around. He introduced me to every company, every director, every female star, and I got a great reception from a lot of the people.
Wow.
Like, wow, look at this guy, he's in shape. And I was like, yeah, I'm, inside, I'm thinking, cool, they like me, whatever. A lot of girls were like, wow, look at this guy. So I tried to kind of, present myself as best as possible, because it's a physical industry, I didn't want to be some I'll say regular guy, but I wanted to kind of stand out, right? That's what you do and whatever it is you're trying to do, right? So I got all these cards, met a couple people that were even from Philly in the Jersey area. I went back to Florida, and I talked to my boss and said, "Hey, man, I got bad news for you." He's like, "What's that?" I said, "I'm giving you my 2-week notice. I'm quitting and moving to Vegas," because I knew a girlfriend from years ago, and she said, "Come to Vegas, and you could sleep on the couch here, and then figure out yourself." And then, because she said, "You're going to do this, right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do it." She's like, "No way, man, you're really going to do this?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot," right? And again, I hadn't had sex in a year and a half.
That's so insane.
Unbelievable, right? I couldn't even imagine. And so when he brought me around, he basically said, "Just tell him you've done a couple things on the internet." And I said, "Okay." And I'd meet people, "Yeah, I shot a couple scenes on the internet." Meanwhile, I haven't shot a damn thing, so I don't know if I could do it or not.
Right.
So I sell everything I own in Florida, which wasn't much. I had an old beat-up truck and a motorcycle on a trail, and I pulled it all out and drove across country. I actually brought my boss's nephew. He was a younger guy, and he said, "I'll take the drive with you." And I said, "Oh, I'll fly you home." So I drove across country with him, and he's like, "I can't believe we're driving across country for you to go become a porn star." I said, "Well, I don't know, man. Hopefully it works because I may fail miserably and have to go home.
Yeah, this was literally your Hollywood.
Yeah. So he got to Vegas with me. He flew home. Now I'm in Vegas at my this old girlfriend's house, sleeping on the couch, waiting. And this guy Brad says, "I'm going to call you and tell you when your first movie is." So I'm kind of just sitting around waiting in Vegas, and I get a call. He says, "Okay, I got all your information. February 16. Call time is 9 a.m. Location is this laundromat. You're going to meet there, and you'll find myself. You'll find me there, and then we'll get you all straightened up. You're gonna be this character in the movie." It's kind of nameless character. So what he did was he was smart. He set up a scene in the movie where I was just kind of like a guy coming into this laundromat who had to go to the bathroom. You know, I'm like, fuck, I gotta use the bathroom. So I come in and I go into the bath. I go to the bathroom, and then here comes the owner of the. This is the story. Here comes the owner of the laundromat. It's Randy Spears, and if you know anything about the industry, he's a big legendary guy back there. So back in the day, Randy Spears. Here I am, my first day. I'm acting opposite of like Robert De Niro, figuratively speaking.
Right.
But Randy Spears in the business. He's got a hairnet on, and he's got some accent like he's a foreigner. And he goes, "You can't use the bathroom." And I go, "Why not?" He goes, "Read the sign." And I read the sign, and it says, "Customers only." So I go, "Shit." And I think, okay. Take my shirt off. I go over to a washing machine. I throw it in, stick some quarters in it, shut the thing, right? I go back to the door to open up the door. And he goes, "Can't use the bathroom without no shoes, no shirt, no service." And I'm like, oh, shit. So there's a girl in the movie set up. She's doing laundry. She's noticing all this. And she notices that I'm having this dilemma with the guy. I'm just trying to use the bathroom. Come in, use it, and leave. So she gives me a T-shirt out of her little laundry, and it's this tiny little girl's T-shirt that says "bad bitch" on it. And it's like a kid's shirt, small. She throws it to me, and I go, "Oh, I get it. Let me put a shirt on, so now I can go in the bathroom." So I put a shirt on, squeeze on, and it's the smallest shirt ever. And then I go over to the door, and he gets a huff, and he walks off. So now I go in to use the restroom. And what Brad did, what he did to set up the scene was, he just made it where I was just some patron trying to use the restroom. So I go in, shut the door, and the girl, she kind of gets this little idea, like, I'm going to go sneak into the restroom. And she goes in, and inside, it's just a blowjob scene. It's not a full sex scene. So we figured, let me test the water with this guy, and let's see if he can at least get it up in that context.
Right.
So in the restroom was me and the girl and just the camera guy. So it wasn't a ton of people. Because, you intimidate a guy with put him in front of 20 people with lights and a camera, whatever.
Yeah,
you
a little camera shot, right?
You might have problems, right? So that was his way of kind of testing the waters and see how I did. And then I did fine. And then
imagine how bad that could have went if you were like taking a shit and she came in instead.
Yeah. That wasn't in the. But imagine.
Yeah, not in the script.
Shit, So she comes in, we do the thing, and everything works fine. And he goes, "Good, you did well." Now I can tell all the other directors that I know in my network that he can at least perform. So then he.
Were you nervous at all in that first scene?
Flipped out. I was like, "Oh my God, can I do this?" And so.
But I mean, did it take a while to get up at all? Like, do you have to remain soft until they say get hard? How does that process work?
Well, that kind of helps because it looks real, versus pull the pants down and there's things up here.
So, like, the nervous part kind of helps a little bit?
Yeah, because it's, and then I just remember in my mind saying to myself, I've done this before. I've had sex with plenty of girls,
right?
Prior to the business. Not a ton, but, having been a male dancer, you would think you'd screw everybody. But so I said, I'm concentrating on myself. Ended up fine and did the job. So that was kind of my introduction to the business in the first scene. And then once he said everything was good, he called another director that I knew, that I met, who was from Philadelphia, and he said, "Oh, you Philly guy, Jersey boy." He says, "I'll give you a hand." And so he gave me my first real sex scene, and that was tough because of just the obvious. Now I'm in another setting with a boom guy, couple more guys, and a girl, and now I'm supposed to go through the oral. It's like a standard kind of cookie cutter scene. Is you got oral on the guy, oral on the girl, and then you got 4 positions, and then you got the money shot at the end, and then you go home. But you got to be able to do all those things. So I was having some problems in this moment, going up and down, and the director the camera guy kind of sensed something, and the girl, she kind of got a sense of, hold on. She says, "Cut." She tells the director, "You get out of here. Leave me with him." So he leaves, gives us some privacy. The sound guy and the camera guy and the director leave. So now it's just me and her, and she says, "You're not paying. You're not concentrating." I said, "Yeah, I'm just." So she kind of, she said, "Look, forget about these guys. Forget about the camera. Forget about everything. Just imagine it's just you and I." And I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "We're on the beach. We're drinking Coronas, and nobody else is here." And I'm like, "Okay." So we screw around, we kiss. She's kind of getting me going because these are things that get you going.
Yeah, what a pro, right? Dude. That was amazing.
Yeah, she did that, right? Instead of throwing her arms in the cross and going, "What the fuck?"
This guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, some girls are, strangely enough, like that. It's really strange.
What a pro. Do you remember who that was?
Mason Storm.
Wow.
My first scene was with Cherokee. Just one name. That's her name, Cherokee. She was great. Mason Storm was my second scene, my real boy-girl scene. So she kind of took me by the hand and got me through it. And that was great because we're not machines. Even if you take something, it still might not work.
Right.
You're flipped out and you're nervous and what the fuck, and your dick says no and your body says no. I don't care what you do. It's not going to,
Just going to get the heart pumping.
Yeah, look like your head's going to pop off. You know what I'm saying? Fucking head. So, I mean, it's been quite the journey, Then, long story short, that was my first scene. My first month, maybe I worked two times. My next month, 4 or 5 times. And the same guy would bring me back, and I kind of sharpened my teeth under his tutelage, so to speak. Because he had patience for me,
So this is 2005 or so?
Yeah, 2004,
that's your first scene.
Yeah.
Where is it being uploaded, or is it a DVD at this time?
At these times, it was a company called Cherry Box, I think, and so it was going straight to DVD. There was no internet yet, so it was a DVD.
Have those been uploaded to the internet?
I'm sure you can find them.
The viewers go and watch that somewhere?
Yeah, you can find them. You can probably find my first scene, Tommy Gunn and Mason Storm, for a company called Cherry Box. I want to say Cherry Box. I've worked with so many, it's just they all turned into the same. I can't, it's hard to determine. So jump ahead now in 2024, my international film database has me at 3,500 movies.
Wow, that's incredible.
About 3,500 movies. And looking back, it went so fast, 20 years. I mean, you breathe in and out, and next thing you know, it's 5 years went by. Like COVID was, how many years was COVID? It felt like yesterday, right?
Right.
But poof, 4 years, whatever. Anyway, long story short, my 3,500 movies, and I've done some of the biggest ones, Pirates and Spartacus, and some of the bigger productions hailed as the blockbuster, and that's kind of what I was more interested in being involved in those bigger movies, because I've always wanted to be an actor in Hollywood and stuff, and I thought, maybe if I go the kind of harder method, the harder way around.
No pun intended.
Literally, right? The harder way around to get to Hollywood, right? Because Hollywood's such a big place, right? You might be so small, and that's such a big pond, right?
Everybody's got their avenue.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
So I thought, well, I came from the adult industry. Maybe if I went this way into the adult industry, I've taken my clothes off for so many women over the course of 10 years. How many thousands of women have I taken my clothes off? Except we left one last piece on, right? Now I just got to take that off and have this sexual performance with a girl or two or whatever the case may be. that shouldn't be that hard, you know? So I went that route. And I thought, hey, if I can make a name for myself in that world, then Hollywood might recognize me versus just being some unknown person that was struggling to be an actor in Hollywood. So,
which ended up working out for you.
Yeah, it did.
You were on Entourage, right? That's one of the biggest series of all time.
And at the time, people were killing or dying to get on that show.
Massive show.
However, whatever the case may be, a cameo, a thing, or whatever, you know, you name it, they were on. Most, you know, were on in one capacity or not, even just a little, you know, blip, you know. So I got, I guess, cast for Entourage. It was a strange course of events on how that happened, because one day I show up on set, normal day, and producer says, "Hey man, look at this paper." I said, "Look at this." He says, "There's a call for a male porn star to be on Entourage." I said, "Okay." He says, the role is you get to play a character, you get to play the ex-fiance of Sasha Grey. Perfect example, Entourage was using Sasha Grey, who was in our industry, as a means of developing a storyline around her, right? Why not dip into the porn pool to get some cachet or to get some subject matter to make a story about, right? That's what Hollywood does. Like, we have this wall between Hollywood and us, and they're constantly like looking over the wall, and so are we. They're looking over the wall to see what we're doing on how they can make their stuff more edgier, you know, more sexy or more whatever, you know. And we're on the other side looking out over their wall, over the same wall, wondering how we can make our more
film's more cinematic
production, you know, more Hollywood-esque.
Yes.
So, and there was a time too in the early 2000s, late 90s, where it was considered chic. Oh man, let me.
No problem.
It's like what do you call that? Anyway. There's a word, chic, not an Arab chic, but chic in the sense like CHIK.
Okay.
Chic, pronounced. And chic means kind of fashionable, kind of like whatever. So if you were like a mainstream producer or director, and I was an actor or a producer or director in the porn, it would be chic for you and your friends, for your friends to know that you had a relationship with me in the porn world. Like, you kind of like, yeah, I got some ties with porn. Oh, really? Tell me about it. You know, that kind of thing. So it's long since, whether or not it exists anymore, I don't know. But it seems like people always have, you know, it's like people like to have their porn guy or their porn chick they know. Like, I know someone in porn. Oh, really? Tell me about it. You know. So back in the day, it was chic to know about that. So anyway, in this moment when Entourage was looking for a male porn star to portray Sasha Grey's ex-fiancé, the storyline went, Sasha Grey was dating Vince. I don't know if you remember the episode.
I don't remember it well. I remember the Vince and Sasha's character.
Vince was dabbling in drugs and doing some bad stuff, and he ended up, I guess, having some relations with Sasha Grey, who played herself.
Yes.
And maybe his friends were giving him some shit like, you know, who you dating? Why are you dating her? Porno chick or something, you know, maybe. And then he was doing drugs, and so she had retired from, in the story, she had retired from porn, but was considering getting back into it. And he didn't like that, because he was like, you know, I want you to be my girl. I don't want you to go having sex with other guys. So in the story, they want to cast another Vince, same name, which is pretty clever to have him be the same name. And they were looking for male porn stars from guys who were brand new to veterans who've been in the business for a long time. So I go and I get the sides. I get I respond, and they say, okay, we're going to email you some sides. Sides are what they call a little portion or a segment of a script. It's the scene, so you get the sides. So I'm looking at them, and I says, very simple, easy. And then I go down to the location and at the place, and when it's time to have the the interview, right? Or the audition. So I go down and I show up and they're like, oh, come on in. Okay, we're gonna go through the sides and you're gonna act opposite of this person and they're just gonna play Vince. I said, okay, hi. So we run through it and they did well. And I said, let's try it another way, a little different vibe or something. I said, I'm fine, we'll do it. And they said, okay, great, you did a great job, we'll see you. So I go, okay, and I leave, and on the way out, I saw a couple other guys that were in the business that I knew, colleagues or whatever you want to call, fellow porn star guys or whatever. And they're, hey,
fellow
how
shafts.
you doing? Yeah, hey, man, what's up? I said, all right, good luck. I left. So the next day, I go to another set, and another producer says, hey, man, they're doing a call for Entourage. And I said, I know, I was just there yesterday. And they goes, look, but it says they're looking for a Tommy Gunn type porn star. And I go, I was just there. And nobody said, oh, you're Tommy Gunn. And I said, no, they just said, I just went and did my thing. So inevitably, what happened was they used me as like an example of who they wanted to have to play that role, because they wanted somebody that would intimidate Vince in the movie, in the episode. Like somebody intimidating.
Right.
I must have done something right where I'm the guy that they use an example as.
So did they wanted someone like you, but not you?
Who the fuck knows? I had no idea. I was like, so I go, that's interesting. So a day goes by and I get an email from when I went to the audition, and it says, hey, we're considering you for the role of Vince in the Entourage episode. I said, okay, I know that part. That's nothing new. I said, okay. So I'm not trying to get my hopes up, because you never know. Maybe it don't happen, and you don't get upset, right? So another day goes by, and I look out and I get an email. Congratulations, we've decided to choose you as the guy to play Vince in the upcoming episode, Lose Yourself, seventh season Entourage, opposite of Sasha Grey. And I said, okay, cool. Why not? So then another following email comes with the call time, the date, the location, what to bring, and what to. So I wait, and that day comes, and I go down to the studio and stuff, and I walk in, and I'm greeted. Hey, come over here, go over here and make up, and here's the director, Doug Ellen. Talk with him. Hey, Doug, nice to meet you. And here's the sides, and they're basically in this big location. Now, in the story, the idea is that Sasha Grey is going to make a comeback into the porn scene by doing this 10-guy gangbang. And Vince, in the movie, in the episode, he ain't happy about that. He's like, fuck, I don't want my girlfriend who retired, now she's going back into the business, and her first scene back is some big 10-guy gangbang.
Sweet.
Or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So in the episode, in the studio, on the set, there's a photo shoot going on, and there's like 10 guys, and we're all in jeans and no shirt, and they're just placed accordingly.
Right.
And she, at some point or another, is going to be in the middle of all these guys, because that's the box cover, right? So he's been out doing drugs or whatever the hell it is. So he ends up crashing this photo shoot, and in the scene, he walks in, and she says, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm here to support you." And she's like, "No, you're not. You're here to cause trouble." And he goes, "No, I promise." Which asshole is he? And she goes, "You see, you're already being in fucking, whatever." And he goes, "I'm sorry. I'm playing around." So which guy is it? So she says, "Hey, Vince." And this is how the story unfolds. And I'm over there, whatever, and I hear my name, and I turn around on action, and action. "Hey, Vince." And I turn, and I walk up, and I meet her and Vince, Adrian Grenier, or whatever, how you say his name. I don't know what his actual name is or how you pronounce it. And the story, and I say, "Hey, man, big fan." And he shakes my hand, and he says, "Oh, sorry, I can't say the same because I've never seen any of your work." And I go, "Well, I've seen all of yours, even Meta Ian." And if you know the storyline of Entourage, Meta Ian, for him as an actor, was a big flop of a movie. So I kind of, hit a nerve.
Kind of shit on him a little bit.
Yeah, but I liked it. You know, and he thought I was being an asshole. He goes, "What are you being an asshole?" And she goes, "Come here." And so that was the extent of the scene. Anyway, she pulls him away, and they have whatever dialogue, and I turn around and go back to what I'm doing, and that was it. But that was the time when I thought, you know, if I could create a big enough name and persona in the adult world, that if Hollywood ever said, you know, let's find a guy, my name would be on their tongue.
Right, at the top of the list kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what happened. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So,
how different was Hollywood acting in that form compared to acting in porn?
Hollywood's stuffy, man. Everybody's, stuffy and shit. You know, everybody's, I would say all of the scenes, but it felt real, everybody's, whatever. And I'm like, our world is much looser and cool and hanging out and very, very easier to get along with. You know, Hollywood's, as you can imagine, that world.
Yeah, right.
Even the music business or where everybody's all too good for themselves.
But when it comes like to the actual acting, because I got a buddy who he literally will watch porn for just the acting to critique it.
Well, remember, when you're in Hollywood or in a television show in Hollywood or a movie or whatnot, they have, I don't want to say all the time in the world, but they got big budgets and they got a lot of money and they concentrate more on the performance.
They've been doing script reads for a while.
Yeah, because it matters, and you and I and whoever can say we've seen terrible acting in mainstream. Let's not kid each other.
That's fair.
It doesn't only exist anywhere else. It's like problem with the adult industry is you don't have these big budgets, and maybe the actors and the actresses or whatnot aren't given the time to really get into character and really get the dialogue out and shot well, because we got to move on. What's the more important part of the adult, I should say, porn world is the
money shot,
sexual,
right?
The sexual stuff. Up to it, sure. If we can get good acting, it's even better. But that's not what people came to say.
That's the simple explanation behind it.
But if you remember in the 70s, John Holmes, Ron Jeremy, Ginger Lynn, all the big Seika, they were actors, man. They were superstars. The 70s, right? They were hailed as nostalgic actors. Like I said, it was chic to know
someone in the industry.
Yeah, and imagine in the 70s, like we've seen it depicted in Boogie Nights, right? We remember that. In the 70s,
classic.
They mixed, at a big Hollywood party. Imagine some big giant Hollywood party in the hills. You got porn stars and actors and whatnot, and they're mixing and and a lot of actors or directors who ended up becoming successful started out in adult and transition into mainstream. And then in mainstream, when things would go south or there was a writing strike or whatever, people would go to the porn world under a surname or a different whatever, because they're not on camera, they're behind the scenes, and they're in the industry, being a cameraman or a sound guy or whatnot. So
working in lighting or writing or something.
Exactly. So
editing.
There's no difference in the technique of acting in porn and in adult. Or in mainstream, It's the same acting. It's just, again, in porn. I hate the word porn because it sounds very,
What do you like to call it?
Erotica. It's like
erotica.
It's like porn is like you open the trunk. Come here, I want to show you these movies, and you're like, what the fuck? And I don't know. Maybe that's a bad reference or example. But, porn is, I don't know. It sounds dirty. Porn. I don't know. But erotica, and there is such a thing, well shot, artistically produced stuff. And then you got, somebody, I'm sure there's somebody out there that could say, oh, here's a good definition of porn and it's this. And I go, oh, that makes sense, but I don't know what it is.
I'll take you back to like the very beginning portion of the career, who were like the first people in your life to find your work? Because this is before it was on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Still the DVD days.
You know, I don't know, but I do recall.
You didn't get any of your buddies calling you up like, hey, man, are you in this video?
Well, here's one of the things that someone will say in the adult industry. The last person you want to find it is going to be the first. So I went for about a year or 2 or 3 before anyone knew anything. And then at some point I had to kind of come clean with my dad. My mother, she had passed away in 94. So
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. And I know she's looking down and she's saying, I'm just proud of him.
You did well for yourself.
Because he was such a shy kid and he finally got out of his shell, and look at him now. Look at him go, and he's a good person. He's not harming anyone. He's got good intentions. He's got a big heart. You know, some people might say, "Oh, what kind of choice path is that? Career path or whatever?" But it's a legitimate one. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not, doing anything that's hurting someone or whatever. And there might be some argument with that. People say, "Oh, it's a bad influence on people and young women or this or that or whatever." But everybody's consenting to be there, and they know what they're doing. And whatnot. So I said to my dad, "Yeah, Pop, I've been out here in California the past couple of years, and I'm doing some video production. I'm working on movies and sets and stuff." "Oh yeah, good." So eventually I had to say, "Well, actually I got into acting, and I managed to get and do really well for myself in the adult movies." "Oh, okay." He really didn't have anything to say other than just be safe, He says, "You're a 40-year-old man. What can I say to a 40-year-old man, right? He made a choice." And I said, "Dad, as hard as it is to describe, because, I've done so well for myself that, I ended up in my first 3 years, I won every, supporting actor, male performer, I won a lot of trophies. I did really well for myself quick.
Wow.
Male performer, all these things." And I said, "Dad, I'm kind of like a Tom Cruise in our business." He's like, "Well, maybe he can't process that, I said, "Well," he's like, "All right, as long as you're, as long as you're being safe." I said, "Yeah, we're safe." And so, and then I do have a couple friends. There was a bit of I'm not sure what the time frame was or the timeline was that it kind of got around my high school classmates from back. Again, I graduated in '85, so it's quite a while ago. That they're like, "Wait, what? Tommy Gunn got into? He did what? He's in porn. He's in the adult. Oh shit." Him, of all people, he was the most scared kid.
Wow.
He was the most...
I've got friends that are like that now. Like the quietest, like the most shyest girls, never had boyfriends or anything, and now they're huge porn stars.
Or right? So that kind of took place, and that went around. And then, I don't know exactly what extent of my family may have shared with each other or whatnot to, what I'm doing. But now here we are 20 years later. Everybody knows. And again, it would be different, or I don't know how it would be, but again, I was successful. I did well. I quit drugs because porn gave me something to work towards.
Wow.
The adult industry gave me something to realize to myself, hey, I can't be fucked up or hungover or been partying 2 days in a row and end up on set trying to do the job, and I can't.
You're shooting 100 and something days a year, right?
Yeah,
160 or somewhere on there.
So I was working. There was times when I was working 25 times a day, or a week, or a month. 25 times out of 31 days or 30 days.
Different scenes,
different movie, same movie for 2-3 days on this one. I got scripts. I'm like, that's next week. Let me get this one. Trying to juggle.
Wow.
And it was tough to try to have a relationship because of the obvious. who wants to know that their partner is off doing that? You know, and that's what happened for me when I, having been married outside of the business before the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, and I think that's what happens too in our business, is that it's kind of a motivator when you have a failed relationship in real life, and it goes bad and it goes sour. It's kind of like, I don't want to say a launch pad, but it's kind of like a gateway, because you've decided, fuck that, I'll never get hurt again, right? I'm not going to do that. You know, I'll never be in love. That's what I said. I'll never be in love. And then that's kind of what gave me the oomph to get into business. It kind of justified, you know, screw it, I'll just go into porn.
I'll never have to be in that position to be vulnerable and be hurt again.
I'll never be hurt again. And I used to say, I get to keep my heart in a safe place. Keep it home in a safe place, and just go to a set and be like, hi, what's your name? Susie? Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Tommy. What's today? Oh, the director says, today you're going to be this, that, and the other, and you're going to do these things, and then you're going to have sex over here. Oh, okay, great. And I was a nice guy. I was a gentleman. I was raised right, you know, treat women good and very respectful. And then it didn't hurt to kind of be handsome or whatever you want to call it, because girls are like, oh, you know, if I'm going to have sex with somebody, why not it be someone who's pleasant, or, you know, easy on the eyes, or
right.
I don't know what you call it. So that's what I did. I worked out. I wanted to show up and have a girl go, oh, wow.
Lucky me.
Because there are those guys out there too, you know. And I never wanted to be that guy.
What was the pay like in those early days? Has it changed over the years?
Well, it's funny, because I guess when I first started, it was low, because you don't know if the guys are going to be able to do the job. You know, you're at the beginning, so you get, you know, X amount. And it wasn't terrible, because, you know, it was still a fair amount of money. And it increased as you did better and you got more reliable and whatnot.
As the name got out there and the work?
As the name got out there. And then, and I remember, you know, at a time when, like I said, I was working 25 times a month, had a fair amount of paycheck, and it was quite the amount of money. But, you know, they say something about easy money is, you know, you take it and it goes, you know, you do like one of these. And I had a fair amount of bills, and I started, I say lived without beyond my means, but I never made money like that or that easy, and so I spent it. And maybe have done
easy come, easy go.
Yeah, I may have done some stupid things with it, and I think that's what anyone would say is, if, you know, when they're exposed to that kind of thing, whether it's you're an actor or a singer or something, and the money comes in, you see it, and you've never been there. You know, oh, I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to treat myself to this, I'm going to have dinner, and I'm going to treat these people, I'm going to do that and stuff.
And when it comes so quick and you don't have an opportunity to plan for it, and you don't have a plan for that money, it goes quick.
Right. If I could go back and do things differently, I'd have started earlier. I'd have started in 2000, 4 years earlier. And when the guy said, here, and I said, okay, I'll do it now.
Well, it's interesting, like, because you don't have...
I would have saved every penny.
You don't have an agent, right?
No.
So you're negotiating all your own deals?
Yeah, I'm handling all my own deals.
What was like an average movie at that time for you? An average project? What would you be bringing home at that time in the early 2000s?
Well, the problem is there is no residuals. So you're not getting any back end. You're not getting it you're not getting any money on, like,
right. Say it goes 20 million views or something.
Yeah, you know, you get paid for your day rate, sex day rate, you know, and then dialogue rate. And in the scene, in this movie, I got 2 sex scenes and 5 dialogue days. You know, and that could be, what could that be? I don't know, make $5,000 on a movie.
Nice. Not bad. I mean, if you're popping out 100 something a year, right?
Yeah. You know.
That's nice.
But again, it's all relative and stuff. And like I said, if I could go back, man, I would have saved every penny. But you live and learn, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who would have said, "Fuck, I should have did this or should have did that."
Of course not.
You know, that's.
I'm 27. I've got those.
Yeah, and that's the terrible part about life too. Is stuff happens to you in the past, and we concentrate on looking back at it when you can't because it's already over. It's happened, and you can't do anything about it, and it's only going to make you sad. So, metaphorically, tear the rearview mirror off of life and throw it out the window because what happens over. If you keep, dwelling on it, it's just going to make you sad, more sad. And then, the only real important part to worry about is this moment, literally, the present moment. And what makes you anxious is thinking about what's coming, But that's a concept. Right. It doesn't even exist.
Right.
Theoretically, it hasn't happened yet. Right? Mm-hmm. And fear is something we kind of created because, it doesn't exist. You're kind of, and that's what I do. I'm an overthinker. I'm one of those guys who thinks 5 different scenarios. What if and this and that and what, and it gets next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God. People are like, yeah, take it easy, And I'm trying to figure out how to do that, right? I don't know how you are.
I'm smiling because does that happen to you ever during a scene when that happens? Where your mind just starts...
In what capacity?
Well, it gets stuck on something other than the task at hand.
Sure. Luckily, I managed to be able to do both. I'm like, fuck. I smack myself. Stop thinking about that. Be right here in the moment, So no matter what you're doing. And then, too, you got to remember... what makes the job even more difficult is everyday life, How many times I've driven a set, and I just had a terrible phone call from someone who, terrible news. Or in the mail, I got this thing, and oh God, I gotta, this is happening. Shit, fuck. You can't bring that with you to the set, no matter what it is you do. You could be a boxer or a dentist or something. But in my case, or in a boxer's case, a dentist can have a bad day and in his mind before, but still do his thing, right? Mm-hmm. The bad day that maybe I would suffer from is it's not working.
Right.
Because the mind won't allow it because it's too full of other things. And that's what happens too. And another thing too that happens is if you have a bad day at work, like I probably had in my career, I probably had to walk off set 3 to 5 times.
Wow, that's incredible. Dude.
Out of
3,500 projects.
And I said, sorry guys, I'm not feeling well. Or it's just, and I'll struggle through a scene and crawl across the finish line, literally. And people might go, hey man, are you okay? I said, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it. It'll be fine. But I noticed you're not your normal self where you come in and you're fucking just dominating, doing stuff and, So, again, it's conditioning, too. My friends will even ask, how do you...
Let's talk about how do you condition or like get your body ready for an erotic scene or an erotic shoot?
Well, you try to... You got to... Your mind, your body follows where your mind goes, no matter what it is. You could be up there, and it's the fucking, what do you call that? The World Series, right? It's the World Series, man, and this is it. This is the moment. The pitcher's been striking out everybody, and we're tied in the last inning or something. Whatever. What would be that? We're tied. We're tied in the 9th inning, and this is And if you're not there at that moment. And then you're thinking about something else, like your wife said, hey, I don't want to be with you anymore yesterday. And you're like, fuck, I can't think of that, right? Or something, So you got to just kind of get rid of all that shit.
God, yeah.
Get rid of all of it. Here's the task, And
there's no more.
You can't bring what happened yesterday to what's happening right now.
Right.
Because some guys will do that.
Yeah, I mean, you do it in basketball, your shot's a little bit off. You do it in your industry, you're obviously limper.
Yeah, believe me. There's been times where I'm like, again, I managed to, crawl through the finish line, but I did the thing, and the guy said, it'll be fine. Well, it'll edit great. We got everything we needed. It just took a while versus just come in and just do great and everything's working. Because your body's not a machine. I don't have a button that press and you get a boner. Just don't. And the button that presses says, do the pop shot at this time,
Release.
Yeah. Like, I make an analogy that some guys say, you want to run a marathon one day, right? You don't just run a marathon. You work up to it.
So what does that preparation look like for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, again, it's mental. Your body follows where your mind goes. If you're not there, you got to get into the girl, right? Hopefully the girl there's some psychology there, There's some mental stuff there. You get on set and you walk up to the girl and you're like, hi, my name is such and such. And she turns and gives you this. And I'm going, oh, that's going to be an obstacle mentally, right? It's like a thumbtack on the racetrack. Avoid that, right? I'm not going to let that bother me. She gets out of makeup. It's ready. The director says, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And hopefully you can kind of reach her again, hey, hi, And maybe she's cold. She's just, I've had girls say to me, if you don't mind, I really don't even want to be here, but I need the money. And I'm going, and I go, hey, come here. I'll talk to the director. You realize, she's not here unconsensually. She's just not into it. And I'm like, that's strange. How am I going to work around that?
And it makes your job harder.
Yeah, and she's like, I'll do the job. It's just, I'm not here, I need some money. I'm in a bad way. And I've taken a couple girls off to the side and said, come here, I want to talk to you. I go, maybe this isn't for you. What do you mean? I said, well, it's just not everybody's gig, right? What's going on? She's like, well, having trouble at home and this and that. I'm from Ohio or some shit, and well, now you're out here in California, and here you are, and ready to do this thing, and maybe it's not for you. You're right. I said, what's going on at home? My boyfriend, husband, and kids. I said, well, why don't you not do this? She's like, maybe you're right. And
wow.
The director's like, what the fuck? And I go, hey, I'm not going to, just, and then she would leave, and a couple months later, it's through some email or some whatever, hey, I appreciate your taking the time and being honest with me.
Dude, that's incredible.
And I went back to my normal life, and I fixed it with my boyfriend and raising my kid now, and I'm back in college.
Wow. Good, great. And then, you get you meet someone who says, I love this shit. I love it all. I want to, and I love sex and I this and that and and me too. I love sex, and I love the kind of sex that is fun and consensual and all these great things. And you meet that girl, and she's like, come here, you're in my space. She's like, you know why I got in this business? And I go, why? She goes, because of you. And I go, me? Yeah, I've been watching you since I was a young whatever. And I go, oh, okay. And ever since I saw you and this and that, and I said, I want to get into business one day and have sex with him. Wow.
And I go, really? She goes, yeah. And I go, wow, okay, here we are.
So
it's crazy.
It's kind of crazy because that's almost the character that you've taken on, right? Because for these girls, right, they're young, they're growing up, and now they're these young women. And when did this stepfather character come about for you?
Shit. Well, what's crazy is, like I said, I started at 36 years old.
Okay.
So
later in the career, later in life.
I know some guys that started at 18, 19. And I think to myself,
prodigies.
What was I doing 18, 19? I don't even,
Same thing off camera.
Yeah, but I don't even know if I had any good relationship with my body, so to speak. Like that, and another thing people say, they go, what do you mean relationship with? Well, you got to know yourself, right?
what do you like? And one of the things that are interesting about the business is I'm given so many opportunities to kind of cultivate and kind of nurture a technique. In normal life, would I have that? What would be the frequency of me having sex with a girl in normal life? I don't know, because I wasn't no aggressive player guy out there. Like, you know, some guys are, and they got it. God bless them for having that skill set, right?
Right. Well, there's a few good women out there that, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Up to tempo.
You know, and so that was one of the things, too. And I thought, you know, am I ever going to have the opportunity in my normal world life to have the sex that I could be Olympic sex, call it? Like it's over the top sex, so to speak. You know, some of the stuff we do, because it's like, that's why you go to the circus, to see the lions and the tigers and the bears, not the sheep and the little bunny rabbits. You go to see, wow. And that's why I consider myself a sexual stuntman, like a sexual athlete, you know?
That's exactly, but that's what I was thinking. I was thinking NBA.
Yeah.
You're like watching somebody go up and dunk. Steph Curry shoot a half-court shot.
Yeah. So, you know, I remember working with, you know, the five, Stoya, this one, that one, 5, 6, maybe 5 or 6. I worked with all 6. I think it was 5 or 6. I'm contract stars from Digital Playground on a movie called Top Guns. It was a spoof on Top Gun. And I played the Michael Ironside flight instructor guy who was a veteran, you know, dogfighting pilot guy, you know, whatever. And I taught the class. And now at the end of the movie, the way the movie unfolds, I'm having sex with all 6 of these girls on the wing of a jet in an airplane hangar. And someone would say, "Oh my God, that's awesome." But it's hard because, you know, you need X amount of footage in order for it to edit down to be watchable, and the scene can't be too long or whatnot. But then there's also along the way we're filming and we're gathering softcore. Softcore is a version of the video where you don't see penetration. It's just you see everything else except you don't. You might see a hard dick, but it's not in someone.
Okay,
and that's okay. But that softcore goes to hotels and whatnot in a certain channel. It's all softcore. But hardcore, you see everything, right? So when they shoot, the guy's positioning himself in such a capacity where you see the goods. You know, you get 3 minutes of that, and then you go to the soft. You get 3 minutes of that, and then you do that with each girl.
Wow.
You know, and that's a lot of friction. Literally, at the end of the scene, I was like, "Oh my God, I want to dip my dick in a fucking ice bucket," because it's like so much friction. And someone would say, "Oh my God, you get to have sex with 6 contract girls." Yeah, but it was hard. It was very, and you know, there's probably maybe one guy out of 1,000 who might say, "I'll feel bad for you." Nobody feels bad for you.
Not at all, right?
And that's okay. I get it.
But we're not feeling bad for LeBron James or Tom Brady, right?
But, you know, it's, you know.
But you're in the same position, basically.
To some degree, you know, you're putting your body through, you know, you're kind of getting, you condition yourself in such a capacity that, you know, you're calling upon your body to do more than what you usually do and pushing the limits, you know, in some cases. Nobody has any empathy for that. Like,
right, not at all.
I'm gonna be sorry for you. You fucked this many, whatever. And I'm going, well, that's fine.
The man in the arena, though, right?
I mean, whatever.
So, was there ever a scene that you had pre-came early?
Oh yeah, that happens. But that's where you're a LeBron James or you're a whoever, and you ask the director beforehand, and you say, "Hey, where's this pop shot going? It's going to be a facial." Okay, you remember that, right? And in the scene, you're doing the thing, and you're doing it. And all the time, for me, I like to edge and ride the wave, so to speak, because it's a wave.
That's a different kind of edge.
Comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's if we're talking about our physical, physiological bodies, right? As guys, we know about ourselves, right? So I'll know in a scene where, if I work 2-3 days before this day, my sensitivity's low, right? Or if I've been off 2 weeks before I have a scene, I'm like, no,
it's coming.
Maybe because
hold on,
just naturally, right? I mean, and that's what you do. You learn about yourself. Know thyself as an actor in the business. Know thyself. Know what you like. Know what you don't. Know what makes you tick. Know what doesn't work. So you take 2 weeks off. You come into the scene and you're like tiptoeing around the whole time. I use it as like a analogy. Picture being a waiter with one flute, one champagne flute on a tray, and you're trying to navigate your way through a dance floor of people without fucking spilling it. You're trying to, and then nobody wants to see a guy who can't do it, right? So I suggest never going into that moment with a hair trigger. If you're going on a date and you haven't had sex in 2 weeks and you're gonna fuck,
probably rub one out real quick.
Rub one out. You'd be better off.
But what's it like? Because it's actually happened to you. Like, I've busted early right in the room.
Sure.
Not embarrassing for me, but it sucks for my girl.
Yeah.
You're kind of letting down the director, the cameraman, the sound guy, the girl.
Well, here's what you do. Getting back to that, where's the pop shot going? Oh, it's going on the face, or it's going on the boobs, or it's going on the ass. So I have that information. And if I get to a place where it's like, oh no, it's happening.
It's coming.
I'll go to the pop shot setup. I'll snag her and I'll move her, and then I'll do it on the face or the boobs or the ass. So at least we got it. Some guys will be like, oh God, and they back off and go over to the corner and fucking come in the pot in the plant pot. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You're like, no. Or they just on themselves or something, whatever. And they're like, and again,
not everybody's built for this though.
Right? So now you got the pop shot at least. It might be out of order,
but it's there.
but you got it, right? Chalk that up. So now you just go, okay, take 10, go have some lunch or whatever, come back, get back, and finish the scene.
And then they'll edit around it.
Yeah. Doesn't know when it happened. You don't know when it happened. And some scenes are gonzo scenes where you just boy meets girl and we're off. We're off to the races. Oral, 4 positions, pop shot, go home. And just shoot it all in one thing without any cuts.
Really?
Yeah.
Are those generally like the more experienced girls, the more professionals?
Sure. Well, here's what a guy's job is. A good guy. His job. A good guy is like a male cheerleader. Have you ever seen the guys throw the chicks up in the air?
Yep. My roommate in college played football and was a male cheerleader.
You?
No, my roommate in college.
Your roommate. His job, right, was to take the girl confidently and her have confidence in him and throw her up in the air and do all these tricks, catch her so you don't come crashing down on the ground and look terrible. Right?
Right.
So my job is if I'm seasoned as a guy, I know the angle of the camera. I know what we need to see. Right? I know how to move her around. She might not even
know what's going on.
She's just going with the flow. I'm
Right.
moving her around. So that's what a good guy does. He takes a girl who's never even shot a scene before and makes her look like $1 million because you have this kind of powwow in the beginning. Just do it. You'll feel me kind of leading you in the scene. Some guys don't know anything about anything and they're over here. And the camera's going, hey, buddy, would you mind?
Can we see some of that?
Some of that, right? And that's what they call a man blanket. The guy's just on her. And again, I have one eye on the director and one eye on the girl, like a chameleon. You know, every so often I'll pop a peek over to the guy, and he'll be like, "Okay, move on," or something, and then come time for the
Deeper.
or come time for the thing for the money shot.
Come time.
Yeah, come time for the come time. I'll just peek over to him. He'll give me the thumbs up, and we have that discussion in the beginning. It's going here. It's going there. It's going here, and then you take the girl. There's a couple methods to getting to the fireworks, and it's called effing to pop, fucking to pop.
Okay.
And that's normal, having sex
To come.
to the pop shot.
Right.
Except you're just not doing it inside, 'cause that would be a cream pie. And there's a technique for that too. But
There's a
in this
technique
case,
to cream pieing?
yeah, because it's all visual. Everything is visual. Everything is visual. So in order to do that term cream pie is, and I've made this kind of example. It's kind of a parallel to it. I said it's kind of like leaving a package out the front door instead of opening the door and putting it in and shut the door, because now you can't see it, right? So instead of being entirely inside of the girl and coming and then taking it out, and now she ate it up, so to speak. Her private parts took what we need to see, and trying to be, and we can't see nothing. You kind of do it on the doorstep.
Okay.
You're not all the way in. You kind of do it at the front right here.
Have them squeeze it out.
Yeah, you do it, and pull it out, and it's right there, and it comes out anyway. That's a cream pie. So, but anyway, what were we saying?
We were all over the place.
Yeah, right.
Is there a specific actress that you love working with, or particularly like your favorite actress to work with?
Well, that changes because there's been a few along the way that were just really great. They were there. They loved being there. They loved every aspect. They dug me. We really had great chemistry, and one of my favorites for me was a girl, Sunny Leone. Sunny Leone. I mean, there's so many. Gina Lindemulder, Janine Lindemulder, Lisa Ann. So,
Do you have like an era of your work that you like the best? Like certain actors, they like certain movies they've done better than others.
Yeah. Can I name them? I mean, if I sat here and really, I could come up with them. But I love the Pirates movies. I love those big Pirates movies. We did Spartacus. We did a lot of great movies and stuff. And it's the sex. The sex was kind of like the extra part of it. It was sure it was in the movie. It was in the context of the dialogue and the storyline and stuff. That's another thing, having sex in character.
Wow.
I was a pirate with a voice like this. You really got to have sex like that. You can't just come out of character and be like, and then go back to the.
And you never went to school. There was no training for any of this. You came up with this on your own. You had to practice.
I went to school for acting.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I took some acting lessons.
Was this in the industry or
in the because I always wanted to, like I said, I love to do some acting and stuff, and I said, why not? It'll be beneficial for me in the business.
Wow.
We still got acting, and we still
right. So you are a consummate pro. Like you put everything you need to into this.
Again, that's kind of how I've been in anything I've ever done. I never wanted to half-ass anything. I always wanted to be, I don't say a perfectionist, but really make a conscious effort to do my best and
you take a lot of pride in your work.
In whatever it is I did. I did BMX and soccer, and I was playing in a band, and I enjoy that. I enjoy excelling at that, or at least trying to, not just being like, I'm going to mail this performance in or call it in or whatever they that reference.
So what do you think about this current era you're in? Because I before coming in, quick search on you, went up on the hub, looked up the name, scrolled through. Seems to be a lot of stepdad content, right?
Yeah, that was
super successful, right? I was looking at the views. We're talking hundreds of millions of views.
They call it faux incest.
Faux incest.
Because it's not real.
Right.
Obviously it's staged, and what typically happens is
Bad marketing.
Yeah, the girl will say, "I know you're not my real dad," and it's okay now, because not that it's whatever, but that's got to be said in the scene. I know you're not my real dad, but I don't know. It's just something about it, and I'm not coming up with these ideas. It's the people who are, I guess, viewing it. So therefore,
they can see what the demand is, right? And they're basically handing these projects down.
It's obvious that, it's highly viewed. How do I feel about it? I don't feel about it. It's
just work for you. It's just part of the profession.
It's not real. And the girl's like, "Oh my God, this is fun," and whatever. And there's no. So again, some people may have and a lot of people have their opinions about certain things. Not even in our business, whatever world, So, again, I mean, stepdad, stepdaughter, stepdoctor. I know you're not my stepdoctor. Like, what? Right? But again, it wouldn't. The psychology is somebody's watching it, so.
Millions. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Scrolling down, I've obviously probably scrolled through him before, but I'm not generally, I guess, staring at the guy. For me personally, my sexual taste.
Yeah.
But scrolling through, I was like, holy crap! Like, this dude is like this got to be one of the goats. Like, he's got millions upon millions of views.
Again,
are you kind of held with that standard in the company? Like, this is one of the best guys ever, kind of thing.
Well, I'm just a small town kid from Jersey, man. I came out and did my thing, and they said, "Stand here," and I stood there, and they said, "Put this on." I put it on, and they said, "Say these words," okay, and I said the words, and the girl came in, and I said, "Okay," and I was a nice guy, and I treated her well, and I always will, and they said, "Okay, this is just for you. This is a trophy, and get up in front of the people and stuff." So it's not like I think of myself that way. It's just.
But you kind of are
in a
like
capacity where I just did, and they hailed me as that guy or whatever. And
like the De Niro erotica kind of thing. That's what I think of you as, really now.
I've had my biggest, I guess, who I idolize is Sylvester Stallone. He was Rocky. I saw him as a kid when I was growing up on the movie screen. I was like, "Oh my God, I want to be like that."
All those Rocky movies, the training
it's inspiring
scenes
and stuff, and still. So to this day, I think to myself, you got to get up, keep punching it, And again, be great. Love to meet the guy. I'd be like, "Wow."
You guys never crossed paths yet?
Never crossed paths.
Really?
I met his brother, Frank. But
oh wow, I figured you guys would have at this point.
I would have loved to have met him, but still. Hey, times.
It's got to happen someday.
Again, I just, just like, hey, you I don't want to say, what is it? You made the whatever to my life, like the movies that I
changed your life, formed your life.
Yeah, and him too. He'll tell you he watched movies that made him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you for him.
For him to influence him to do what he did. So what he did is what I saw. So it's generational. I saw what he did based upon what he saw when he looked up to these actors and these, superstar Steve Reeves and, those actors and stuff.
Have you gotten that yet in your career by like a younger actor that has come up to you and let you know, hey, you were the reason why I got in the industry, kind of like women have?
Yes. I was on set maybe in the last 6 months, and I saw these two younger guys, and I noticed they were kind of just very, I'm like, and then they came over and said, well, "I'm sorry, but we're kind of nervous." I said, "What are you nervous about?" He says, "You're Tommy Gunn, and I've been watching you since I was whatever, and that's why we got into business. We both got into business because because of you. And I'm like, really?" I said, part of me felt like saying, "Run, get out, go to school, stay in school," But it was cute, and I thought it was it was flattering.
What does
these two young guys are like? Man, you're the reason why, and you're the GOAT, and you're the this, and you're the that. I was just working out prior to here, and I was, I'm doing my set, and I see this guy. I have an eye for seeing that kind of thing, and And I get it happens all the time.
I
all day
imagine
long.
you get like
Yeah.
recognized all the time.
Yeah. I'll see this. You know, and I'm, you know, and then here comes the guy today. He goes, he's like, I don't know how to say this, but I know I've seen you somewhere. And I said, well, it's possible, you know. He goes, okay, and he does his thing, and and then he comes back, and a couple sets later, I'm doing something else. And he goes, I knew it. You're that guy, right? I said, it's me. We never really said what it was, but you know, 20 years in the business, over so many movies, this many. You recognized me in India and Prague when I was there, in Italy.
Really?
Yeah. And it's fun. And I like to be, hey, cool, thanks. He's like, can I get a picture? I said, yeah, sure. Took a picture with him. You know. And again, it's happened to me. It happens all the time. I'll be in the airport and somebody will just kind of give me one of these. And I go, oh. And they're like, cool, you know.
That's so awesome.
And again, I've said, what's funny is a lot of times I'll get a guy or two guys, or, you know, they'll be friends and be like, look, man, we're not gay or anything. And I go, I didn't think you were. And I said, you don't have to start with that, because consider me like your favorite baseball player.
Right.
Or that kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's entertainment.
Yeah. You know, I'm not thinking of that. I'm like, okay, cool. Don't worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. But it's been quite the journey. It's been quite the emotional trip. You know, sometimes I like, you know, one of the things that I yearn for is companionship. Like, you know, and I think to myself, I'm not sure if there is a woman that would, or you know, somebody that would look at me and be like, you know, I want that guy, you know, had sex with that many girls. You know, is that okay? Like, I don't know. Is that okay? I feel like I use that references, and I kind of painted myself in a corner where I'm like, shit, you know, over all these years, and you know, the movies that I've done and the things that I've done, is, would somebody be proud of that? Like, he's my man. I don't know. I who knows, right? Maybe there's somebody out there, right?
Has it been something that you've been looking for like the last, like recently, or has it been there for like a long time?
It's kind of a feeling that I've had for quite my whole life, you know. I've had, like I said, I've been married twice. I've had multiple girlfriends in the business, but it's been difficult, as you can imagine, naturally, to you know, like I said, I met girls on the set. I worked with them and had such great whatever that I pursued them and said, hey, you know, I like you, and I know it might be, you know, whatever, and I'd like to try something, try it, make it, see if we can make it work, and it's hard.
Being in the industry?
Yeah, it's hard being in industry and in business.
How long do you think you'll be in the industry?
Well, I still currently work.
Amazingly well. The videos that I was seeing were uploaded within the past year.
Yeah. I still currently work. I enjoy the nature of the job. I you know, some of the most beautiful women, but I feel like I want to, like, I'd like to devote myself to someone, you know, and hopefully there's something left for them in my soul. Maybe, I don't know if that's how that sounds.
Well, I mean, how long do you think you see yourself staying in the career, and do you see that opportunity presenting itself once you exit the career, maybe?
Well, my dream, truth be told, is I love people. Like, I love what we're doing. It's really fulfilling, you know, talking and kind of, you know, opening up and, you know,
connecting and sharing. Yeah.
So I know I like that, and I love the acting, because acting is kind of like exploring. It's a challenge to yourself. Like, okay, can I do this? And it's not about the money or anything. I would act if I was given the opportunity for nothing. But
You know, you got to keep the lights on, right? You got to pay for something, right? So I enjoy it. I like it. If I could pursue a career in acting outside of the business, outside of the industry, hopefully, again, I have to be invited to sit at the table. And because of the business, there's a stigma, a bit of a stigma. You know, like, because of what you've done, we can't have you in this. And I'm like, what did I do? Because not everybody agrees with it. You know, there's some moral or ethical people that have issues with. I don't know. You know, what are your thoughts?
Well, hopefully with like traditional media's role kind of being shrunken in the past several years, and these independent studios now being brought up, and you know, YouTube and all these other networks that come up there, maybe another opportunity might present itself that way.
Yeah, I'm open to it for sure. I always thought I would like to have a show, a concept of a show, as I was a host, and then I would just do things that I enjoy. Like, I love outdoor activities. I got this cool truck. I like motorcycles. I like whatever. And kind of be like a host. Like, hey, today on this episode of The Gunn Show, I have this special guest, and he does these things. And it just so happens that we have a lot of similarity in these things.
Dude, you do amazing in that.
And we're going to do this today, and he's going to teach me because I don't, you know, I'm not an expert on it, but he is, so take it away. And he says, okay, today we're going to do this. And I said, okay, teach me how to do that. And we do it. And I'd be the host. And then in another instance, I have a host today that's going to do this. We're going to build this thing. And I have a special guest.
Shooting bows or shooting guns somewhere.
She has no
kind of
idea
thing.
how to do any of this. And I'm going to teach her how to do it on camera. And she's going to weld and
going fishing or welding. Yeah,
whatever.
anything.
And just be
making a saddle, like all kinds of fun stuff.
Just kind of be the persona that I've developed over 20 years, because I feel like people have an association to that guy. Like I've said, I've always been told, you're my hero. And I go, what did I do that was so heroic? And he goes, you're just my hero because you have sex with all these beautiful girls and whatever. And I said, well, that's cool, I guess. I'll be a hero. But, you know, I didn't save anybody from a burning building. But I get it. You know, I'm their hero. So what is that worth? What is that worth, being that guy? So you pluck me out of that business. You put me in like a setting, like a normal setting where I'm at that guy or I'm over here. And again, it happens all the time. Hey man, dude, we love you and we watch you and can we get a picture with you? So what is that worth? I don't know how you utilize that. How do you parlay that into something?
You've got to create your own thing. It sounds like, like a YouTube series or a show. Again, like you're saying, with a camera following you around to these events.
Just whatever. And I love, like I said, I love off-roading. I love motorcycles and I love cars and I could do all those things. I could pull up, you know, whatever car in the parking lot all the way apart and put it back together. Literally. I have that experience. And I could build this and I could weld and that and I could do this. I've done so many things that I could actually be doing the thing, whatever it was, and having dialogue about it, and it be authentic dialogue and not just some like making it sound like it is real or not, and you know. So how do I? It's kind of like reinventing myself in a way,
right?
Taking what I've created, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but the people that I see it on a daily basis that are like, dude, oh my God, come here, let's get a picture with you. How do I take that and turn it into something else where somebody would say, hey, my fan base wants to follow me on my next journey to whatever it is I do.
Right. You've got to start cultivating it while you're still in the business.
Yeah.
So do you have like a YouTube channel or anything like that?
I do. And I have an idea. I'm actually working with two gentlemen. They're trying to pitch an idea to a show, but I don't get my hopes up because...
Yeah, but even if they don't pick it up, do it on your own. Because again, that's something that's so big. People do love you. They have that following and connection to you.
You can do so much on your own.
Right.
I mean,
you're gonna need some people to help you out with it.
You know, whether I employ someone or I bring them on, or they want to do it because they're passionate about it and they'll be part of the thing on the backside of it. If it does or what it does, or you know, when I got into business, like I said, I left motorcycles and I was I
I want it to be like the Jesse James of the industry, building cars and motorcycles. And then along the way, I would have a special guest who's some pretty girl,
Right.
helping me, 2 or 3 of them, physically build or do these things. Like, have you ever welded before? No. Well, we're going to teach you right now.
Wow. Yes,
What
dude.
do I got to do?
Dude, that'd be
And
such
then
a killer
there
show.
they are teaching them,
Yes.
and I'm doing it and whatever. And then they're like, "Oh my god, I never did that." You
See,
know?
I don't think I don't think this is something a network would pick up unless it's something where one of these people have created and they host on like a YouTube channel that has 8-9 million subscribers
Right.
that you could sign into. But you could also create something like that on your own, 100%.
I believe that it's the potential is there. It's just, you gotta
Takes a lot of work.
get out there and do it. And I'm not entirely sure what it looks like yet. It's kind of like if I could mix 3 things together: Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, Jesse James' Monster Garage meets Bear Grylls' The Survivor Guide.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying.
And I would be those 3 guys in one
Put it to
show.
one.
Hey guys, it's me. It's Tommy Gunn. Welcome to the Gunn Show. Today I got a great special guest, and his name is this, that, and the other. And he's going to come in today, and his specialty is whatever he does. And we're going to get out there and we're going to do it because it's fucking awesome. And I got some special
tagging
guests.
along with me.
This girls or whoever.
You might have known her from
You
her
may have
work.
seen her this, that, and the other. Well, come here, talk to me. What do you like about? I love off-roading because it's so this and it's that and it's this, and I love hot rod cars because it makes me do this or that, and I love the roar of the engine. And today we're going to get out there and we're going to do this, and let's go. And poof, we're on the thing. We're at the place. We're doing the thing, and the guy's. He's an authority on that particular thing.
Right.
So maybe he's educating us, and we're just kind of there. But I'm the conduit between being the host and the audience, and then I bring some eye candy, and then some real authentic.
Boom. We got a hit show. That's a hit
Possibly.
show. That's a
The
hit
Gun
show.
it's called,
Right.
or whatever you fucking.
I like that.
I don't know.
No,
Tune
that's
in for the
good.
next-
That's good.
Tune in on the next episode when we go to here, when we're going to do this, and whatever.
But that's something that you're currently having pitched for you to is
Yeah,
it to a station network or a cable network?
It was Motor Trend magazine, some other, maybe National Geographic or something. And again, they have to see a value in that. They have to see me as like, oh my God, he is a great conduit because, like I said, for 20 years, I've been every red-blooded American guy's hero, even more, even beyond that. And I haven't said it. I didn't come out and say, I want to be everybody's hero. I just did what I did. And they said, dude, you're fucking awesome. And we love the stuff that you do. And that truck, I don't know if you saw the truck I have or some of the bikes I built and some of the stuff that I physically have and have done and can do. I don't know. There's guys that are doing it now, and I have no idea who the fuck they are.
Exactly. No, but and that's why I say
And I
they
go,
might be
I've
more
never-
a little more palatable to these studios and these cable
everybody's
networks.
So, what do you call it? Righteous. Like, oh God, we need to have some, some guy who's so clean cut and this and that.
Exactly.
And they'd be.
And that's why you might have to do it on your own. And then, there
I
might
want
be
a guy or a station or somebody who's like we want the guy from the other side of the tracks.
Exactly. Who is that though these days? What network is willing to take those risks and have the backlash?
Spike TV for men.
Oh,
Or I don't know who they
you
are.
missed those days?
I don't know. I mean,
The Man
remember
Awards.
the Man Show?
The Man Awards, dude.
You remember the Man Show?
The Man Show, yes.
It's kind of like that.
Mansers? You remember Mansers?
Whatever the hell it is. I don't know. I it's funny. My knee. I don't know. I mean, maybe someone has an idea and they're like, I see you doing that. Or
No, what you have in your mind would work
Yeah.
brilliantly.
And again, it's real stuff.
Even if it's
not
only a single camera for now following you around
You
in
know?
those shots and having good editing done. And that's what I said. You could build it your own on a YouTube channel for a network to see and then to pick up from there, or even if it goes to
I need a
Netflix
videographer.
or
I need a guy who do
Yeah.
sound. I need
Yep.
some assistance in those capacities
Yep.
and somebody who they see the same vision and we
that
gotta
might be
do
more
some-
obtainable than a cable network, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many platforms between YouTube and whatever and whatever and whatever. I mean, if my subscribers were up in the millions on my Instagram or whatever, and that wouldn't be too difficult. It's all like strategic. You know, if I could reach out to somebody who had those interests and whatnot, and they saw me as, hey, this is a legit guy. Okay, maybe his subscriberships ain't up because I'm old school. But they, you know, and they said, hey, I'll be part of that, and they need it for themselves too, right, on their end.
Yeah.
So you do a collaboration in that capacity.
It's going to be
right?
mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and they get some numbers up. I do a couple of those, and then now my viewership or my Instagram's up into the millions, and then, you know, I would love to be able to reach out to a Bang energy drink or whatever and say, hey, I do these things, and
will you sponsor this?
Would you?
Presented by the Gunn Show. Presented by
whatever. You know,
We'll do this ad read.
I got so many like relationships with people that guys are in military and guys that do all these things that these guests would be fucking unreal. I could be shooting some fucking handheld 50 cal gun in a desert with my friend who's a special forces guy. He'd come on and do an episode with him and be up in a fucking helicopter next to, or rappelling off a thing or building a whatever, this military.
Brian Callen had a show like almost like so similar to this on YouTube recently, and I believe he still shoots it, but man, it would be amazing. The Gunn Show.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. There's a guy right now, Whistling Diesel.
Whistling Diesel, yeah.
What's he do? He destroys everything. And apparently he's making a fortune doing it.
Those guys make crazy money, those YouTube guys.
And that's great, you know, but it's proof that, you know, I don't know. I think he's ex-military. I think he's a veteran.
Is he? I thought he was.
So.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. But again, he's obviously making money by just kind of, you know, seeing what something's capable of, you know, what vehicle it is, you know. Like if there was a way to communicate with him,
right,
and him say, again, not have an ego, because that's the problem too. I feel like I face that a lot of times as a guy in doing what I do, is a lot of guys look down their nose at me. Not all of them, but some of them, with the kind of thing like, you know, would they be inclined to want to have me on their show?
Right.
Because of what I do.
Right.
Because maybe they think, well, I could do that. Or, fuck that guy. Why would I want him around? He fucks all these hot girls. Like I said, I've been invited to the show. I've been invited to parties for it and not invited to parties for it.
Wow.
Because there's a very strange
it's polarizing,
behavioral.
right?
There's a very strange behavioral type of thing that happens between guys, and whether they even know it or not. You know, most guys that I meet and talk to are cool. They're like, oh yeah, cool cat. You know, but some cats, I don't know what it is. Think maybe, you know, I don't want that guy around here.
Some type of insecurity or something.
Yeah. Because maybe he'll look cooler than me, and I don't want that. And I'm like, I'm just cool. I'm a cool guy. I'm a friendly person. I would never be, unless that's something they're struggling with on their own self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I say insecurity. It's got to be something internal.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been invited to the party. Like, oh, invite him because he'll bring all the chicks. And that's not true at all, because I don't have a
stable. Yeah. Herd following you.
Yeah, and then they're like, don't invite him because he'll
take all the chicks.
And I'm going, what kind of nonsense is that? You know, I mean, it's a strange thing. You know, it really is. But like I said, a number of those, if Whistling Diesel was like, dude, you're cool as fuck, come on the show. Or even if they didn't know who I was, but eventually I introduced, oh, God, yeah, come on, we'll do an episode. You and I will tear up some shit.
Yeah. Well, Whistling Diesel, if you see this.
Yeah, Whistling Diesel.
Come on now.
We'll
get Tommy Gunn on the channel.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to,
impose, but you're such a great character and a great guy.
Truth be told, it's like, I would want to connect with him just as a dude. Hey, man, you're cool. I love your shit. And, you know, I like what you do. And, you know, I know what you do is what you do, but, you know, just on a human level, like as a guy, like, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, coming from a, let's say, peculiar profession, you understand it can appreciate a different art.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm just a regular guy. Ain't no different than you or anyone else.
Yeah. And I can tell.
It's the path we chose.
Right.
I don't have a special whatever. Like I don't go fly up into the air or nothing like that.
Yeah. You do it a little lower.
You know, I'm just a regular guy, So that's, and I have aspirations and, some other things I'd like to do, but hey, you can only do so much so far. You can only go so far as in whatever you do. You get to a point where someone's got to say, yes, I'll give you that leg up, or you come in, or join us, or that's how you get further than that. Unless, it's like they say, don't try to sit at someone's table, make your own table. And I get that, right? You've heard that reference before, right? You got to be welcome to sit. It's like that term, it's who you know. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
But that's not true, because I know a lot of people. And unless they're willing to say, hey, I will do this for you, then I just know them. And they don't do nothing. And I don't expect them to do anything. But if the tables were turned and somebody said, hey, I feel like I'm the type of guy that would be helpful in whatever capacity. Like if I knew I could help and do something, I'm more inclined to do it. Like I like that. I like to do that. Whatever it is. Put a guy's name in the hat. Make a mention for him. Open the door. Go see this guy. Let me help. I can help you with that. Or, I like to do that. Some people, they keep this, they don't do that. Because I don't know why. I don't know what they're afraid of.
So worried about themselves or themselves falling back because they're giving others something. It's weird when you see those characters.
It's karmic though, right? It's karmic. It's very karmic. Who knows, right?
Life, right?
Life.
Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much,
man,
Tommy. Where can everybody find you and follow you on social media and help you out where you're at?
The Tommy Gunn, TheeTommyGunn on Instagram. And then Tommy Gunn, TommyGunnXXX on Twitter or X. And then, what else? TikTok is, I'm trying to be more versed in those platforms because I see the potential in them. It's just, there's so much going on in real life that I don't want to miss it. And by being in my phone.
Yeah. Tell me about it. It's a crazy balance to have, right?
And then people will actually, go to an event so worried about capturing it on the phone that they miss the event. Like you're sure you were there at the event, but what's more important to you is all the pictures you're going to get at the event versus the actual event and the fun you would have being there, right? Like
that
it wouldn't be so
experience.
fun if you didn't have your phone. Versus, fuck the phone, I want to be here,
Be immersed, feel the experience.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's all uncharted territory. Onward and upward, hopefully, if it's possible,
I'm excited to see what happens for you. Trust me, the Gunn Show, I love the idea. Whether it's on a network or you doing it.
Be, it could
huge.
Yeah, why not, right?
Could be huge. It could be bigger than your past 20-year career.
Right. And I look forward to something. That's what I like to do. I like to see something on the horizon. Like I'm looking forward to that. I like to look forward to stuff. I know the present is the most important, but what's ahead? What's ahead? I know what happened back there. It's not worth it anymore. It's gone. What's ahead, right?
Yeah.
What's next? So
I'm excited to see it. I appreciate you so much, Tommy.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you coming on the show.
A great experience. I'm grateful to have been here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the conversation, all the knowledge, all the transparency, letting me know the behind the scenes.
Put a book together. I'm working with a writer, and we're going through some of the chapters, and it's tough. It's tough in the respect that you have to relive certain things. I've been through some really terrible stuff, and I'm not trying to cry in my beer or anything to anybody and complain at all because I've been blessed. But some of the dark experiences that I've had and some of the dark moments are tough to relive
to put them on paper in order to share with somebody else. Hopefully they can experience it and feel it and learn from it and hopefully take something from it. Because that's all it is. It's just, I'm just sharing some of the things that I've been through and stuff. And by no means comparing myself to anyone or anybody, or I'm just telling the story. And I hope that, because we're really putting a lot of time and heart into this. And I hope that people can enjoy it and learn from it and use it as an inspirational tool, you know. But that's been the hardest part, is reliving some of the darkness.
The pain, the trauma, getting back to that
my
spot.
writer's like, all right, I know you're going to hate this, but we got to go over this chapter and tighten it up and okay. So tell me about that. And I'm like, oh God, that moment again. Well, I opened the door and I saw the most horrific thing. You know, how did you feel? I said, oh, you know.
When are you looking for that book to release?
Well, here we are. What is it? April? Unbelievable.
Almost
right?
April, yeah.
Oh my God, the time goes so fast. Hopefully, by the end of the beginning of next year, it's out, and we're trying to determine what to do with it. I'm trying to seek a publicist in which way they can help me, but I think, I mean, again, you put your heart into something and you do the best. You got to run it up the flagpole and see what happens.
Yeah. But you've already locked in with a publisher and everything?
No, we haven't. Once
Once you guys put everything together?
We're just trying to make and put together our best, whatever it is. Whatever.
Most complete story possible.
Yeah, without leaving anything out. And so... But again, that's been the hard part. I'm grateful for my writer Jim. He's really been helpful, because I'm not a writer. I mean I could write, but you know, he's helping me make sense of it. That's
putting everything together. Is tough.
Yeah, it's tough, and it just reminds me again, like of some of the things I went through. I'm like, oh my God, we're still under construction. You know, that's what we are. We're all under construction.
To the last day, right?
To the last day, right?
That's how it is. But I appreciate you so much, Tommy. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Still Friendship episode 76. See you guys next time.